Dyeing yarn and fiber may initially seem intimidating, but it's a lot of fun and not so complicated. Here's an example of the types of fiber I dye in my home studio. This is a braid of merino top roving I dyed for spinning. These are commercial fingering weight yarns dyed with various techniques including dip dyeing and speckle dye. It's pretty. I love yarn with sparkly fibers added in. And finally, this is handspun BFL, or Blueface Leicester sheep wool, that I spun natural color and then dyed after. Let's take a quick look at my dye setup for dyeing wool and other types of animal fibers. I'm lucky to have this dedicated countertop with a small sink in my studio. It was a selling point when we bought the house, but you don't need an area like this to dye yarn and fiber. You can certainly use your kitchen or basement, you just need dedicated tools. If you don't have a dedicated area, it would be best if you covered your workspace with a plastic drop cloth, unless you don't mind the possibility of staining the surface. So I mainly use these crockpots and this kettle for most of my dyeing. I bought both of these crockpots on clearance several years ago. Round for kettle or immersion dyeing and square for low water immersion dyeing. I also have this microwave for steam dyeing, small sample dyeing, and other crafting projects. And just in case, I have this small fire extinguisher handy. Under the cupboard, I store my burners, extra pots, and equipment. Although I prefer using my crock pots, I have these burners available to do traditional kettle dyeing or if I want to dye at a higher temperature. Rubber gloves are on hand to protect my hands from the dye or from hot water. Plastic tubs are used for transporting dyed fiber to the sink or soaking yarn or fibers before or after dyeing. Measuring instruments are indispensable in my dye studio. You can get sets inexpensively at dollar or thrift stores. Measuring cups are used for measuring water for pre-mixing dye, while measuring spoons are used for measuring the amount of powdered dye. Syringes and droppers allow me to apply pre-mixed dye in sections on the fiber or yarn before steam setting. I recommend looking for items you can reuse as tools for dyeing, such as this Repurpose Kids chemistry set. I use it to hold pre-mixed dyes in the test tubes. I love that I can color coordinate with the covers. I don't always pre-mix my dye before use, but this is handy to have for when I do. Up here are a few of my dyes and stippling brushes. I use several different brands of dyes, although I am in the process of phasing out most of these. That's basically it. It's taken me a lot of trial and error to get my dyeing skills to the level I am satisfied with. I didn't show the rest of my safety gear, like goggles, mask, and apron, or where I keep my citric acid, but hopefully this gives you some encouragement and inspiration on setting up your own area for dyeing yarn and fiber. I'll be sure to show my process in future videos, and I'm happy to answer any questions.